Some other stuff that I want to point out, some links that I want to direct you to, and these are all, by the way, you should all have your PDFs and you can follow along in the PDFs. By the way, especially even those of you that are here in person, but if you're following along in the PDFs, I have slide numbers up there, and from time to time I'll make sure to, if I can remember, I'll make sure to say what slide we're on, so we're on slide 7 right now. I give you that on purpose so that you can take notes against the slides, because I'm going to present, there'll be times when I show a slide today and I talk for 45 minutes on one slide. And there's no possible way for me to put all of that information that I'm saying into slide form. So I highly recommend, as boring and lame as that sounds, I recommend you take notes against the slides, the slide numbers, so that you can go back to them. But the other thing I'll say is there'll be links that are provided in the PDF. There will also be a bunch of places in the code where I show code snippets. And the code snippets that I show in these slides, they're just images. They're screenshots of color syntax highlighted code, which sucks because nobody wants to retype all that code and actually, shockingly actually have to write code. We don't want to write code. So there'll be links in the bottom left-hand corner of many of those slides. I'll point it out to you when we get to it in a few minutes. But there'll be a little link in the bottom left-hand corner that says Code Me. And if you click on that link, it will pop you up to a web browser with that code there so that you can copy and paste it. It'll run that code so you can check it out and try it yourself. So that's a benefit of following along with the PDFs both now and later. First link I want to point you to, just by show of hands, those of you here in person, how many of you have heard of Mozilla Developer Network, MDN? Okay, about 3/4 of you, good. How many of you know that MDN is an open public wiki? Yeah, like one or two of you raised your hands. That's why I point this out, because I think that's actually a hugely important fact that kind of goes unknown. We just sort of think, well, there's some team of people at Mozilla that goes and maintains all of that documentation. The truth is that it's owned by us, the web platform community. So there have been a number of times that I've been reading some documents for some documentation for some API feature, and it either says something incorrectly, or it's worded weird, or there's not a good example, or there should be added information. You just sign in, create a free account, sign in, and edit it, just like you would with any wiki, like you would with Wikipedia or whatever. And we can all contribute to the betterment of this documentation. So I highly recommend you do that. I know a number of people on the MDN team. They would be thrilled if we could get more people participating in that. So as a little piece of homework today, if there's something that I teach you about JavaScript, or I mentioned some API or something like that, as a little piece of homework, I recommend that you go and do a search for that topic on MDN and see what it has to say. If I talk about some API, the substring string function or something, go look that up on MDN. Get familiar with that. Idiomatic.js looks like a JavaScript project. It's actually a write-up of idiomatic styles that are commonly accepted across the web platform, across the JavaScript community. I don't agree with everything that's written there, but you never do. So I think it's just a great place to start. Probably 80% of it I think is great. If you do not have a style guide for your own projects or for your team if you work at a company, if you don't have one of those, this is a really, really solid place to start. Sit down at a brown bag lunch with your fellow employees, read through it over lunch and say, hey, we agree with that, I like that, but I don't agree with this, and just come up with that. It's a great place to start. So check out Idiomatic.js.